Just the other day, Vivek Ramaswamy absolutely shattered and dismantled CNN and Abby Phillip live for everyone to see. She thinks she has him in a corner, but she is so wrong. I'm going to play this clip for you. Now, I'm going to hang around as the clip is going. I'm going to only interrupt when I feel like I have something to share. But just notice how many times she stops and interrupts him because he's starting to share some truth, and she can't allow that to happen. You know, legacy media, they're the ones who have to tell you what to think. They're the ones who have to tell you the facts. And if you hear anything else, they have to squash that, stop that, censor that, and then they have to tell you their own talking points. But Vivek doesn't allow this. And notice how the crowd gets behind him. Let's get into it.
Let me ask you about something that you said at the debate last week. You used the phrase inside job to describe what happened on January 6th. The next day, Capitol rioter Alan Hostetter highlighted your comments at his sentencing. He is going to prison for 11 years. Hostetter threatened members of Congress. He brought a hatchet, knives, pepper spray, stun batons, tactical gear to the U.S. Capitol. Are you concerned that a convicted felon like that is now promoting your comments in court?
So here's my concern, Abby, and I want to tell you guys where I'm at. If you had told me it's close to 3 years ago that January 6, 2021 happened. If you had told me 3 years ago, back when I was a biotech CEO, not steeped in this world, I was just consuming passive media, but was focused on my world of developing medicines. If you had told me that January 6 was in any way an inside job, the subject of government entrapment, I would have told you that was crazy talk. Fringe conspiracy theory nonsense. I can tell you now, having gone somewhat deep in this, it's not. I mean, the reality is this. We do have a government, first of all, we have to acknowledge, that has lied to us systematically over the last several years about the origin of COVID-19, about the Hunter Biden laptop that we were told was false by 51 CIA experts and otherwise before we now know that it was true. You can go straight down the list, the Trump-Russia disinformation collusion hoax, all of it. Now we come to January 6th. The reality is we know that there were federal law enforcement agents in that field. We don't know how many. I think it's shameful. If I may finish just answering.
Well, let me
I'm
going to go ahead and interrupt you here because
I know this, the establishment doesn't approve of this message. I know this, but we should be able to talk about this.
You're saying that there were federal agents.
This is important to talk about.
You are saying there were federal agents in the crowd on January 6th.
Yep.
There is no evidence that there were federal agents in the crowd on January 6th.
So why, before Congress, when pressed on what the number was, they didn't say there were none. They just couldn't say how many there were.
So you're saying that that you have not seen any evidence that there were.
We've seen multiple informants suggesting that there were. We know people were FBI informants who were asked to
Is there any evidence?
May I just finish this, and you can come back and question me?
Let me clarify.
I know it's very uncomfortable for you.
I'm going to clarify my question.
I know this is an uncomfortable issue for many people, but we have to do the truth here.
I'm going to clarify my question because I want to make sure that you understand what I'm asking.
I understand this deeply. And I told you, I was with you 3 years ago. I'm not there now.
Where is the evidence?
Yes.
Where is the evidence that the government had a plot,
let's do this.
an inside job?
But no, I'm going to tell you what an inside job is, because I'm not
violence on January 6th.
I'm not going to let you put words in my mouth. I'm going to put my words in my mouth. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that.
Where is the evidence that the government was involved in planning or executing January 6th?
So I'm going to give you hard facts. And if I may, Abby, I know this is going to be a little uncomfortable, but we're going to go through this, and you can push back on it after that. And you can push back on that. And let's see.
Okay, I'm trying not to stop that much because she's interrupting him so much. It would just make it worse if I interrupted this on top of her interruptions. But I wanted to stop right here because notice what she's doing right now. She's looking at her notes. She could care less about what Vivek Ramaswamy is going to say. She has one job, and that is to refute and rebut anything he's going to say. So what she's looking at right now is a short list of notes that CNN gave her. And basically what they are is to help aid her in whatever Vivek says, to just simply deny and refute and offer something else, not to listen, not to have a conversation. This is why people like listening to people like Joe Rogan, because he has a conversation with you. When Vivek starts to bring up some interesting facts about Russiagate and the laptop and those who signed off on it, that it was Russian disinformation, you have a conversation about that. You start to talk about, wow, our government has covered some stuff up pretty big time, pretty seriously. Is it possible that they were involved in January 6th? Is this a possibility? You conversate. CNN has no interest in this. Zero. She's looking at her notes right now only because she wants to come back with whatever the next thing CNN put on that piece of paper for her to come back with.
Do this fairly. Why did they suppress footage of now what's been released, 200 hours of footage of shooting rubber bullets into that crowd, shooting tear gas into that crowd? You didn't see that before. You saw what the response was to that. Now you see footage coming out of actually rolling out the red carpet for Capitol Police allowing
Ramaswamy,
people in
again,
right through the front
the
door.
vast majority of
that
the
video
footage
evidence should have been released before, Abby.
Mr. Ramaswamy, the vast majority of the footage shows.
In my deep
Just so you know, what she's saying right now is on her piece of paper. It literally says on that piece of paper, the vast majority of footage shows whatever she's going to come out and say. It's right there. She's only reading it verbatim as just a refuting point. Again, no conversation, no investigation, no journalism, not allowed. And I think she's going to go into the fact that she's going to say, well, most of the video was released. Yeah, there was so many hours of video that were like, I think it's like thousands of hours of video that they did not release. I mean, it's just a ridiculous amount. And much of it was destroyed, lost. So the video we do have, you know, thankfully we have that video, but there's other video that we don't even have access to, which is a shame.
Police officers being overrun
and I want to talk about one more
by
case.
violent
This is really important.
riders. That's
I'm
what
going
the
to
vast
give you some hard facts.
of it shows.
So here's what entrapment is.
Cherry pick.
I'm not cherry picking. If I may finish, Abby. If I may finish, Abby. I'm not cherry picking.
Examples.
To the contrary. To the contrary.
You know who
cherry picked
examples.
You know who cherry picked? The government.
That is what happened.
The government
on
cherry
January
picked
6th.
12 hours of footage when there was 200 hours of footage. So cherry picking was the government, not me. Release the whole thing. And let me just finish one thing too, because this is super important as a topic.
So
I think this is a civil libertarian issue of our time.
When we
Gretchen
were talking,
Whitmer's kidnapping. I want to be really clear on this, because it's the same issue in the same FBI, same even part of the FBI. 3 people who were in an alleged plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer were acquitted at the end of trial because it was entrapment. That is, government agents put them up to do something they otherwise wouldn't have done. They gave them credit cards with spending limits of up to $5,000, encouraged them to buy munitions, plan something they weren't otherwise willing to plan. So much so, and I want people at home.
She's looking at her page. This is not on her page because they didn't know that Vivek was going to go here. She's looking for this. She's like, what, Gretchen Whitmer? What, the credit cards? What's going on here? She has no clue. So she's got to find anything she can. She's looking for anything to interrupt him with, stop him with. She cannot allow him to talk about the shady activities of our government. If you are sitting at home believing that our government is some sort of like this pure, nice, just beautiful agency out there that doesn't do any of this stuff, you're really kidding yourself. And the fact that CNN just so obviously covers for them, how slimy is this? She's not even listening to him anymore. She just doesn't care. Let's keep going.
To know this, especially CNN viewers to know this, is that one of the jurors went to those defendants and apologized afterwards, gave him a hug, apologized, seeing what the government had put a poor guy up to who had to go to some Mexican restaurant across the street to get hot water. These people were exploited with credit cards up to $5,000, FBI agents, putting them up to a kidnapping plot that we were told was true but was entrapment. Same thing with the Capitol Police. People letting them in freely. Many of those people then being charged.
Ramaswamy, look,
the government cannot put you up to do something and then charge you for it. That's wrong.
I don't want to have
to. Wrong to the left or the right.
I don't want to have to interrupt you. I really don't. But I don't want you to mislead the audience here or at home.
Abby, I think they've been misled by mainstream media.
They're laughing because they know that CNN, MSNBC, the entire legacy media has been the ones who are misleading. It's crazy how much projection is done by these people where they're actually doing the action that they're claiming others are doing. Vivek is interested in one thing, getting to the bottom of what actually happened. Were there FBI agents there? Answer the questions. When you're in Congress and you're asked, were there FBI agents there? Answer the question, but they won't. They cover it up. Release all the video, but they don't. They cover it up. Vivek is interested in answers. CNN is not. They are interested in misinforming, and misinforming in the way where they cherry pick the information that they want to give to you. They completely disregard anything else. They do zero investigative and journalistic work, and anyone who is, they just label a conspiracy theorist. That's what they do. And let me bring you to their site right now. You ready? Let's go, because CNN had to report on the fact that Vivek Ramaswamy absolutely crushed Abby Phillip here and CNN. CNN live. So they had to do their own little headline on it. You think they're going to try to label this a conspiracy? You think they're going to go that direction? Of course they are, because that's what they do. Here it is, CNN Politics. Ramaswamy doubles down on January 6th conspiracy theory. See him get fact-checked in real time. When somebody's actually bringing a discussion to try to figure out what was really going on there, just call them a conspiracy theorist. But this is not working as much anymore. Just like calling people racists isn't working as much anymore, because I think people are starting to realize, wait a second, you're just using that word for everything. I think you don't know what you're doing with that word. I think you're using it wrong. Conspiracy theorist is going to be the same way. No one's going to even listen to it anymore. Vivek Ramaswamy did a great job here, and I'm proud that he did not back down from this, that he did not give into this nonsense, and hopefully more people's eyes are being opened up. And even if you don't agree that maybe the government was more behind this than you realize, at least agree with this. Nobody on the left, the legacy media, none of them actually care about figuring out what really happened. They don't want to investigate. They don't want to know. They don't want to ask the hard questions. They want to stop that because it doesn't fit with their ideological views. I can guarantee you, if it was flipped on the other side of things and it was something with Donald Trump, they would be reporting on it endlessly. They would investigate the living daylights out of it, because we know they'll investigate Donald Trump when there's actually nothing going on. Completely fake stuff is happening, right? The whole Russiagate, it wasn't even real. They investigated that for years. They'll do that. But when there's a real thing that happens, an actual event, and looks like there's some shady things going on, no. It doesn't fit with what we want to do. When you have Joe Biden and Hunter Biden setting up 20 shell companies, taking money from foreign countries, foreign agencies and businesses, and funneling them through those shell companies, and eventually ending up in the hands of Joe Biden, and offering literally zero service to these people except for the brand name Biden and the big guy. Well, there's no real evidence here. What are you guys talking about? There's no evidence. There's literally pictures of Joe Biden with these business people. They've admitted that he was on the phone talking with them, albeit about the weather. The big guy's name is there. We have money that has been funneled through these. We can look at the money it's funneled through, and it ends up in Joe Biden's hands. Of course there's evidence. There's so much evidence. To not investigate is criminal. But they'll tell you there's no evidence with Joe Biden. Oh, but the Russiagate, there was tons of evidence there, but there actually was none. These people are evil. They really are. Congratulations, Vivek Ramaswamy. Great job. You're really doing good stuff, albeit you're not going to become the president of the United States, unfortunately. Not this time around. Maybe next time, or the time after that. Or maybe you might get into Trump's cabinet, or you might get in a position somewhere. Very possible, I do think. But good job on this one. Love to see CNN and Abby Phillip getting smashed live in front of an audience. And the audience there, I don't know who they were, but they knew the truth. They knew that Ramaswamy was giving them the truth, and Abby Phillip was trying to cover up for it. What do you think about this? Leave your comments below. I'll catch you on the next video.